You are listening to Niger Health Radio, your wellness companion.
Listeners' discretion is highly advised as this podcast may contain strong language. Previously on The Dressmaker.
So my name is Udwak.
My name is Tolani.
I've been seeing you for about 6 months now. It's from one awesome design to another. There were many times I had unprotected sex. Guess what? It was when I decided to finally settle with one man that I got diagnosed. I even begged this dude to end the relationship with me then. He refused. He followed me to counseling, learned how he can escape acquiring the virus, and he has just been so supportive. He is still HIV negative till date.
Why will I follow you anywhere? In this age of visualism.
She said in Geneva's funny voice.
Trust me, you're too fresh to be considered for visualism.
He attempted her tone but failed woefully.
The Dressmaker. Yeah. The Dressmaker.
Nonso washed his hand at the running basin close to the table they had picked. He rolled up the sleeve of his shirt, returned to his seat, and made for his first morsel of amala.
Are you sure you weren't the one who really needed food?
Tolani asked, staring at his sizable muscle.
Well,
He shrugged.
maybe then you came along and I just made the decision faster.
I'm so amazed you are eating that amala with your hands. From your complexion, I can tell you're not a Yoruba guy.
This guy was about 6.1 feet tall. She has always been good with height judgment. He apparently liked to have his hair low with defined shapes at the front. He had a narrow eye, pointed nose, and firm lips that broke into smiles easily. He was clean shaven too, but he had a small stubble on his jaw. This was that guy you see at the office and you just want him to head your team. He looked polished without looking like he was trying too hard.
So what's the complexion of a Yoruba guy?
Well, light-skinned Yoruba men aren't always so bright. I think guys from the southeast, south, and Fulanese are the ones that are light-skinned like you are.
She laughed at her own analysis and Nonto caught himself staring. She was beautiful, quite all right. It was apparent she wasn't big on makeup because on the 2 occasions he had seen her earlier, she wasn't wearing any makeup. But that wasn't what made her beautiful. It was probably the whiteness of her sclera, the white part of her eyes, or the vibrancy of her skin. She appeared to be what you might call a breath of fresh air.
Funny analysis.
He watched her eat for a while before asking.
Do you remember where you know me from now?
Tolani shook her head vigorously.
I honestly can't. I'm just here to eat free food.
They both laughed.
So what would you give me if I spill?
Oh well, I can give you this, my roundabout meat.
She held out the well-seasoned cow intestine she was talking about.
You helped me and my dad a few months ago when his blood pressure had shot up to the point of a stroke. I couldn't carry him alone. I had caught sight of you in your own car, but was too distracted by the situation. I've always wondered about the coincidence though. Why were you sitting all by yourself in the car that day?
Flashes of the day came rushing back to her, and she inhaled too quickly and choked on her food. She coughed hard, and Nonso raised the glass of water at her front to her. She collected the cup and drank fast. She sighed heavily and looked at Nonso through half-closed lips.
Sorry.
That was the second day after my diagnosis.
Diagnosis?
She didn't know what exactly prompted her. Maybe it was the way he was looking at her like he was genuinely concerned, or the burden of keeping her diagnosis a secret from people who weren't members of her immediate family, or maybe she just wanted to scare him off. She didn't know what it was, but she blurted out,
The second day after I was diagnosed of HIV.
Tolani raised her lids gently. She wanted to see all the emotions that he would express. The disgust, the fear, the annoyance, and the judgment. But none came. All she saw was a fleeting shock before he said,
Oh my, I had no idea. Now I really feel worse for not saying a proper thank you that day. I was too engulfed in my own situation.
There was nothing your thank you could have done. My fiancé had broken up with me that day and called off our wedding. How would your thank you have helped?
Nonso shrugged.
It would have just showed that I'm grateful.
Okay,
So your fiancé left because of the diagnosis?
who wouldn't?
Someone who's your true friend wouldn't. At least not immediately. That was a tough phase of your life. Even if you couldn't cope with the situation, you should have just stuck around for the first few days. It should have helped you through that phase of your life. This was the guy that would have been your husband for crying out loud though. The one that would have sworn for better for worse. I'm only saying, you should have stuck around as a friend, if not as a lover. That's how you would know a man that would keep his word.
Tolani was amazed by how he came to her defense.
I guess we handle situations differently. That was the best your hands could do.
Sadly so. But look at you. You're holding up fine.
Yes, I have been well prepped and I have been adhering to treatment. I almost feel like there is nothing wrong with me, if not for the daily drug intake.
Nonso studied her for a while.
I think you're a very strong woman.
I guess.
So what do I do to know your name? Buy another king-size lodge?
Perhaps.
Be kind to me now. I even chastise your annoying boyfriend.
Nonso said, batting his non-existent lashes. Tolani laughed. She was surprised that he was still interested in knowing her name or knowing her more.
I think I might take you up on that lunch offer.
Yay! Could this mean that if I give you a call, let's say Friday, and I invite you to come have lunch with me, would you come?
Tolani nodded.
Yay!
Nonso clapped his hands and Tolani scratched the back of her head and shifted on her seat.
You want to say something?
Yes, don't you mind that I have HIV?
Well, it's definitely something, but I don't think any less of you because of it. It's not because I'm patriotic though. I think it's because I know a bit about HIV. During service year, my PPA was an NGO with a focus on public health. That helped me to perceive people living with HIV correctly. So I know that the antiretroviral therapy suppresses your viral load such that it is almost impossible for you to infect other people, even through sexual intercourse.
Nonso reclined on his seat and continued.
But all that aside, you are not the virus you carry. It's like saying a person doesn't deserve a chance in different places because they have diabetes or hypertension. Yes, some diseases might be scary because they are infectious diseases. But if the spread can be curbed, why stigmatize those living with it?
Wow. I don't have any words.
It's fine. We have another hangout on Friday and you can give me all your words. Thanks for your time with me today. I have to pick up my dad. The old man must be frantic with worry right now.
He flashed Tolani his boyish smile and moved to the back of her chair to pull it out for her. Tolani was dazed and kept mute on their short trip to the hospital.
A penny for your thoughts?
You should pay $1 million for it.
Chase, someone likes money.
Well, someone is a businesswoman.
So what were you so deep in thought about?
I just wished I had heeded all the advice to be careful with needle sharing. You know, I would have spared myself this hurt. Prevention is definitely 100% better than cure.
Oh, so you got infected through needle sharing?
Yes, I've never even had sex.
Oh, so sorry about that. I can only imagine what goes through your head sometimes. I'm sure you beat yourself up.
Sometimes.
Tolani admitted by nodding shyly.
That's one thing you need to do, Tolani. You made your mistake and you're facing the consequences. Yes, it was a pretty expensive mistake, but it happened. Now, you will choose to see life in the right lights and you will choose happiness. Also, so?
What does that mean?
It means quickly.
Nonso held the wheels with his left hand and picked his mobile phone with the other.
Kindly help me punch in your digits.
Tolani collected the phone and punched in her number.
What do I save it as?
Tolani.
You cannot cancel our Friday hangout because I collected your contacts or because I now know your name. Our hangout still holds and I would really like to see you again, Tolani.
I already gave you my word. Is that you?
Yes, that's me, yes.
Alright, noted. I will save it.
A nurse and another lady watched closely as Tolani made her way to the support group meeting in the hospital.
That's how I just thought to let you know. That lady is HIV positive and spends time with your older brother, Mr. Nonso, every time he brings your dad. I would have said it wasn't my business if it was somebody else. But your dad is my favorite patient in this hospital, which is why I thought to warn you. Your brother is a very fine young man. Even if he wants to date around the hospital, he could have considered better options.
I am so shocked. If you know the way we have been pleading with Nonso to date someone at least. Now that he is dating, he went for a Yoruba girl and one that is HIV positive at that. Isn't that a suicide mission? Kai, my intuition never lies. I just knew something was up, and that is why I offered to bring Daddy for a session today.
Somto clasped and unclasped her hands. At that moment, Tolani walked towards both of them, nodding her head to different angles to the music playing through her headphone. Somto couldn't hide her animosity. She glared at Tolani so much that Tolani slowed down and walked more calmly towards the door leading to the support group meeting hall.
I am going to report to my mom, and all this lovey-dovey that they are forming will become yam pepper scatter scatter.
Somto hissed.
Can you imagine? She's even shifting her HIV body everywhere. Such an annoying human.
Somto hissed again. The nurse nodded in agreement. Lady. And why was she glaring at her like that? Tolani wondered.
Hey, buddy.
Hey T, maybe you forgot that you have a friend in Lagos, Nigeria, because that is how you did respond to the message I sent you 20 minutes ago.
Sorry, Nonso. I was driving. Today is my monthly support group meeting.
What's up? I hear a tone.
You heard no tone, Nonso.
Talk to me. What's wrong with you?
Nonso, it's nothing. A lady was just looking at me funny. It was almost like she could pounce on me. I'm just worried because I've never seen her before, and this is a public hospital.
Oh, it's possible it isn't you. Maybe she had her eyes on something else and you thought it was you. Tolani, why would anyone even dislike you? You are the sweetest person I know. You and that your sweet smile that can melt the hardest hearts.
You say it that way because we are close friends. I might not be so likable to some other people.
She saw the lady walk past the hall from the vantage point she was. There was something about her that seemed familiar. She almost had Nonso's...
Nonso? What does your younger sister, Somto, look like?
She's my complexion. Almost as tall as I am. And like his size 10. Why?
I think I just met your younger sister and she doesn't like me.
See, my younger sister will never look at a lady she doesn't know in a funny way.
I believe she's your younger sister, Nonso. In fact, I am sure she's your younger sister. The resemblance is uncanny. Talk to you later, Nonso. I have to go.
Alright. I even have something to tell you. Perhaps when we talk later.
Tolani could feel a cold ball in her stomach. Nonso's sister or look-alike smells trouble. Oh no! She didn't have the energy for this. Not at this stage of her life, when every day she makes a deliberate choice to be happy, to live, to give. Nonso sank into one of the settee in his parents' sitting room. He had to visit this evening to address a few things. It was after Tolani's call that he remembered today was his daddy's physiotherapy appointment and his sister would be taking him. This also means that what Tolani said could be true. Tolani had even ended the call without a proper goodbye. Nonso entertained himself with the match that was showing on Super Sports as he drops Tolani yet another message. His sister soon came sauntering down.
Hi, Nonso.
Nonso turned around to see her face.
Hi, Somsom.
Nonso stood up. Somto attempted to sit down with Nonso, but he beckoned that she should follow him.
I think we should take a walk in the garden. It's been a while I did that.
Sure.
Did you take Dad for his sessions today?
Yes, I did. You've been trying though, big bro. What do you do when the sessions are ongoing? Looks like Daddy's progress means more time have been spent during the session.
Somto Chuku. Have you ever shared a razor before?
Yes. I try not to anymore, but I have shared before.
Imagine that one of those times you shared, you got infected with HIV.
God forbid.
Understanding dawned on Somto.
You've been told that I met that your HIV girlfriend, right?
She is not my HIV girlfriend, and her name is Tolani.
Somto rolled her eyes.
I said you should imagine what would have happened if you shared a razor and got HIV.
But Nonso, you are my only brother. I care about your well-being.
And you think I don't care about my own well-being?
Somto's eye bulged out of her pupils.
And so what do you want to do, Nonso? Marry her?
Yes, I love her, and I'm yet to even tell her. She isn't the disease that she has. Tolani is so many amazing things. Besides, there are interventions that are existing that would help us live a normal life if Tolani accepts me in her life. Tolani is a human being like us, and she didn't wish this virus on herself. It just happened. She is on antiretroviral therapy, and it involves taking a combination of HIV medicines that is also called an HIV treatment regimen every day. I must admit that arts cannot cure HIV. These HIV medicines help people with HIV live longer, healthier lives.
Now Nonto had Somto's full attention.
Arts also reduces the risk of HIV transmission by reducing the viral load to an undetectable level. I know Tolani uses her drugs daily. I have also done my research and found that I can get on PrEP. What's the full meaning of...
Nonto pondered for a few seconds.
Pre-exposure prophylaxis. This would prevent me from getting HIV, even if we have sex without protection. As soon as she gets pregnant, she will get on a prevention of mother-to-child transmission program, so our children can be protected. Tolani is an amazing lady. Why can't we be together? Because she is sick? Something that can happen to any of us.
Nonto flips his hand in exasperation.
Big bro, I'm sorry. I didn't know there were things that could be done to ensure you don't get disease too. I was just really scared. Tolani is a very beautiful lady, by the way. But how will you resolve the intertribal challenges that will most likely come up after seeing that mom has always dreamed of you getting married to an Igbo girl?
I'm not proposing marriage now. I still have to convince her to be my girlfriend first. I'm sure you and I can convince mom together when the talk of marriage comes up.
Somto smiled at that.
Nonso, I don't think you should tell dad or mom about Tolani's medical history until you are both married, and even then, it should be because it is absolutely necessary.
I agree.
Nonso rubs the small stubble on his jaw.
Thanks, Somsom. You know, when you finally want to be, you can actually be the absolute best.
I know.
Tolani and Uduak walked side by side to her car. Uduak's baby bump was now very apparent in the turtleneck she wore on palazzo pants made by Tolani. Tolani wore a turquoise blue dress on a pair of sneakers. Uduak held a bump and paused a bit.
Mommy twins, I'm excited about this community drug pickup because of you. I just think it's nice that we don't have to come to the hospital to pick drugs every month. Now, in our group of 6, one person will be picking the drug for each of us monthly. You can ask that you be fixed for the last date so that your baby will be like 4 months before you come to the facility.
I know, right? This new intervention is honestly an answer to prayers. What's up? You said you'd be going to a co-market with Nonso's sister. You guys are good now?
I'm amazed myself. She's even the one trying to get closer. Nonso said that all he needed was to educate her about HIV, and that just changed everything.
Uduak nodded and grabbed Tolani's wrist in a way that showed she had a big idea to share.
This is why I think more people need to be made aware about HIV. See, Tolani, information is power. And although it seems like people know about HIV, you'll be shocked at the number of people who are yet to know. I think we should partner with existing non-profits to educate people about HIV. The preventive measures, stigmatization, test and treatment.
Tolani nodded vehemently.
Let's start with packaging behavioral change communication messages kits for some of these organizations. Since they already have people they provide services to, we will just help draft these messages and designs because we are in these shoes and we know exactly where they pinch. I believe we can help change people's perspective of HIV patients and the virus itself.
So when do we start working on this?
Next week Monday. I think we need to put pen to paper first and understand the scope of this idea.
She clapped in excitement.
I guess my digital illustration skill and your storytelling skill will be well utilized.
I know, right?
It's been 18 months since her diagnosis. Tolani was excited. She was going to be having a photo shoot for some of her collections today. She would be modeling some herself and some models would be modeling some for her. Her fashion business was gradually becoming the next big thing. She would be opening a new store at Lekki in 2 weeks' time and she would be employing a new creative manager for her store here in Ogba. She couldn't believe her life could still make meaning like this. She pulled over at the front of the venue for the photo shoot. She saw 3 ladies already made up and she was glad she engaged a very proactive makeup artist. She saw a familiar figure come out of the studio. Udwak! What was Udwak doing here? She hadn't invited her. Udwak walked towards her in her free-flowing dress and her baby strapped to her chest.
Hey, girlfriend.
Looking visibly shocked,
Hey girl, what are you doing here with this little one? Uduak. I don't want Mr. Dave square you.
I beg you. I came to show off for my home girl.
her hand to the baby on her chest. Tolani moves closer to the baby and touched one chubby cheek. The baby was asleep, so she took her hands away.
Kai, my ovaries. Oh.
Very soon, my friend. I beg, let's go inside. It's cold out here.
They both made their way into the studio. Udwak entered first and Tolani followed behind. Everywhere was momentarily dark, but the lights came on almost immediately. There were so many balloons and Nonso was on one bent knee. He had a rock sitting on an equally pretty case. Behind him was a banner that says, "Will you marry me?" Tolani was stunned. She knew there were many people in the studio with her, but she couldn't process their faces all at once. All she could see was Nonso.
Will you marry me, Tolani?
She felt tears pull up in her eyes.
Are you sure?
I've never been more sure of anything.
Yes. Yes.
He slided the ring on her left ring finger and wrapped her in him. Everyone cheered. That was when she saw every single person. Somto, her younger sister Bolanle, Udwak, Dr. Funke, and the models. Oh, well, there were many things to be concerned about. A lot. Their differences in tribe, for instance. She had met his mom and dad once, and they were amiable. She wasn't just sure of how they would take marriage with her. He had introduced her as a friend then. She shifted her thoughts aside. This was perfect. Tolani let the tears flow. She turned to see that the photographers had finished setting up for the photo shoot too. They had a large brown material draped against the wall. Life was about to get started.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Dressmaker Podcast, brought to you by Niger Health Radio, produced by Equitable Health Access Initiative, written by Temitope Olaomi, narrated by Olaton Adeola, theme song Sammy J, character illustration by Instinct Illustrations, voice actors Ogo Izuako Onyejepu as Tolani, Madwa Kolam Onyema as Johans, Emmanuel Afolayan as Nonso, Timothy Akimorele as Dr. Dayo, Uju Umeozulu as Udwak, Ganiyu Agbola as Daddy Tolani, Mojisola Osadola as Mommy Tolani, Temitope Olawumi as Dr. Foluke, Korede Banjo as Daddy Nonso, Esther Oyekoya as Somto, Tominsin Majakodumi as Nurse 1, Rosemary Dada as Nurse 2, Emmanuel Afolayan as Horse Rider, Emmanuel Afolayan as Compared. Don't forget to subscribe and share.
The dressmaker.